Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। Hari Om. Welcome to this session today. Before we start with the reading, just a brief description, explanation on the invocation prayer that we just chanted. When we say Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, what I will do is I'll just share this prayer in the group so each one of us has the prayer with us. It's a very beautiful prayer. It's prayerful. It's more of an affirmation that we make to ourselves. And the beauty is, it is universal because there is no name of any god given. So it is not like some religious prescription. What it means is, we have all come together. It's a beautiful prayer when we have to do get together and we have teamwork to be done. It's like, let's get together and in whatever that we need to do, let's put in our best. So each one is affirming that I gave in my best, and in doing so, what happens is, obviously, see, if you are doing your best, best of your abilities, best of your knowledge, use of your talent, with a good heart, good intention, and completely giving from it. Huh? We all know that's the only way to excel in anything. When you are putting in your best. And that's how you become better and better in what you do. Isn't it? So our comparison should be with, how am I today better? Am I better than I was yesterday? What I was last year? That's how we progress. So the prayer is, let's get together to do this, to put in our best so that each one of us shines, and the task that we are supposed to, I mean, whatever it is that we're coming together to, it will automatically be successful. Each one is just thinking of putting in their best with the intention that the task gets completed. And here there is one more beautiful. Mavid Vishavahai, we say. Any task to get completed, or you have any teamwork to be done, there is a team leader. There is like a supervisor or a coordinator. So let's have no misgivings with each other. Now, what happens when there is a team leader and there is a team following? Some of us may feel that this team leader is partial to somebody. The team leader may not be, but we may. So such a thought might come into our heads. And it may be that none of us think like that, but the team leader does feel this one is very bright, so I will promote him. Whatever. Let that not happen. Let there be no misgivings. Let there be no misunderstanding. Because the role that each one of us plays is usually different. Each one is given one task. And the kind of talent, intelligence, maybe even time and energy that needs to be given will be different. So we shouldn't judge each other's work this way and have ill feelings with each other. This is just the prayer, the meaning of the prayer. So beautiful, isn't it? And so universal. All of us can chant it. It doesn't, I mean, if you explain this, then I'm sure a Christian or a Musliman or a Sikh or anybody else will be willing to. The only factor it's in Sanskrit, which is not spoken these days. Otherwise, the meaning is so beautiful. It is just affirming to ourselves. So, in the ashram, we used to do that whenever there was any seva to be done, and we were a team doing it. And very often during discussions or even during work, there would be tempers would go flying, and we are like angry with each other. That moment the coordinator will just say, sit down, all of you. Om Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu. So all of us will chant this prayer, things settle, and in a peaceful way, let's get the work done. Then we will discuss the matter. Let us resolve it. We need to. It needs a resolution, but not right now. So the whole atmosphere will just, there is no more ill feelings. It's all dissolved, and we get back to work. So it's a very beautiful prayer. And so when so many of us meet, and we are all meeting here for a particular purpose. We want to attend and understand what is written in this book. So when we all join, we put in our best. Then there is inspiration. There is also, motivation to do something. So this is one thing. Then, of course, we chant in the 3 shlokas of the Guru's book. So every time I will give you the meaning also of the Guru's Stotra. Beauty of this also is we take the Guru to be a person initially that is required, and that is what is understood also. But as we evolve and we study, and when, to say that we are matured enough, we understand that Guru is a tattva. It is a concept. It's the truth. Guru and truth are not different from each other. So this truth, where do you know it? Where do you realize it? Is within yourself. So the Shastras, it is very clearly said that Guru or God are not different from each other. We need a Guru or God external to us until we come to that level of understanding and reliability on our own self-work. Till then, Ishvara, God or Guru reflect that self to us like a mirror. So we begin to see and we begin to understand. That's the whole, process that goes on. But there is actually no difference between God and Guru and self, which means your Atma. It's just different ways of looking at the same thing. So that's why we chant the Guru Stotra, because let there be greater understanding. So with this, we shall start. Where we had stopped was, I think, materialism versus the higher. At that point on chapter 1, in my book is an old one, so I'm on page 5. Otherwise, Page 5? Yeah. So we are on page 5. There is this paragraph, materialism versus the higher. We saw how materialistic or scientific laws and theories need revision now and then as new data accumulates. And so science is a growing tradition, right? So research is always performed on the basis of validity and truthfulness of past conclusions. So constantly there is study going on. So in the same manner, here Gurudev says that the scriptures also represent the experimental data gathered and conclusions arrived at by the generation of sages. They are what he calls the scientists of the spirit. So their theories and conclusions have been confirmed as true by at least 100 mystics in every century all over the world for the past 7,000 years or more. That's why the need to study. They have already done that much work for us. We just need to take it and then progress from there. Right? So here we begin with materialism versus the higher. Religion is the technique of perfect living, of gaining a better mastery over oneself. Religion is that secret process which brings forth an effective personality out of even a shattered man of despairs and disappointments. Arjuna was cured by the 18 discourses in the Gita. Now, isn't this a very beautiful and it's very profound? This is very interesting. Look at Gurudev's definition of religion. He says religion is a technique of perfect living. He says of gaining better mastery over oneself. One who is a master of his mind is a true emperor. He is a religious person. What do we have typically when we say religion? What all comes to our mind? Temple, puja, some chanting, bells ringing. And that is when we say Hindu religion. Otherwise, what is Christianity? We see a church, beautiful church bells, no? A priest, a discourse. If you look at Islam, then you say a mosque, people going to do their namaz there. So religion is what popularly is conceived as religion. Look at the way our sages have seen. It is mastery over oneself. Tell me, is there a period of time when you do not have to be a master of yourself? Everyone has to. And that is the technique that is taught to us in this. So it is a secret process which brings forth an effective personality. So how truly it relates with us, it's important for us to know this. The politicians, economists, and scientists all over the world, in their totally extrovert consideration, come to the natural conclusions that the individuals are saved when the world has improved. Thus, we have instituted daring experiments in political thoughts, have pursued heroic adventures in the economic fields, and have accomplished spectacular achievements in science. Politicians strive to bring concord into social life and maintain social law and order in the community. Economists conceive schemes and plans to increase the wealth in the nation and redistribute it with equity and justice. The scientists, with selfless dedication, continuously seek to discover means of exploring the rich treasures concealed within the folds of Mother Nature, to explore sources of energy and to tame them in order to help the people to harness and thus make their life more comfortable, rich, and luxurious. By creating such an order in society and by developing the untapped wealth of the nation through planned economy, by applying the knowledge of science, materialism strives to raise the standard of living of the people. This is understood. This is known. Now, here we might tend to disagree a little with Gurudev because he says they all are striving to do this. It may not be seen, but that's a different thing. We will come to it later. But this is what he says. When we say materialist, what are we? They are trying to make changes in the outside world. And there is a law and order required, a balance required. This is how the economists, politicians, everybody, they are working, scientists. It is obvious that the blessings of materialism can remove the agony of poverty, the sorrows of illness, the discomforts of a limited life within any underdeveloped community. But the philosophers unveil with convincing logic that in spite of the highest standard of living that we may create for our community in the nation, man cannot feel happy in his ambition and live contented in his relationship with others merely because he has plenty of food, clothing, shelter, and all other amenities of a peaceful and efficient national life. This is true in our experiences, isn't it? You know, when we were traveling and in the village, there were these people, they said, आपके शहर में तो काफी सुविधाएं हैं. You have a lot of conveniences. And we have come to the shahar, we have come to the city. In your city, you have a lot of conveniences. But sukoon nahi hai. This lady was telling me, I was not relaxed, I was not at peace. So it's very clear, and we all know, isn't it? There are many things today we surround ourselves with for our own comforts and conveniences. But are we all, can we just say, I'm happy, satisfied, contented, fulfilled? No, there is some lack all the time, isn't it? Something that says, no, not this, not satisfied, not completely. There's something that is. So here, this is what the Gurudev is trying to point out. Just about standard of living is not required. There is something else. Man is an animal, an intelligent animal. Had he been just an animal, he would not need anything more than his physical comforts and security. But as a highly developed psychological being, he wants his emotional satisfaction, and being an intellectual being, he is restless and impatient with all imperfection. He is not merely a physical structure consisting of his body. He has a mind and intellect. The materialistic needs of the body can satisfy only the physical man, which is only a third part of an individual. 2/3 of each individual is not taken into consideration when materialism strives to satisfy merely the basic needs in a community. Right? So man is not just this body. You know, when a buffalo or a bird or any animal or bird, when it reaches its physical maturity and is able to reproduce its own kind, it's like its purpose has met. It has achieved, and that's all there is to it. But with man, it's not so. He has his emotional needs, intellectual needs. He always is striving to do something better, isn't it? So this alone is just one part of, you know, the human being. There is this emotional and intellectual. So when you imagine in the collective, so much needs to be done. In short, when the modern world in its materialistic viewpoint strives to bring about a higher standard of living by improving the world around man, the deep thinkers of the scriptures and the rational philosophers conclusively indicate that the happiness and the glory of a community depend upon the standard of life the individuals come to live. So, materialism is wonderful, no doubt, but it burdens man with endless anxiety and craving to possess more, to acquire and aggrandize, and to indulge with slavish attachment. This is natural, for man seeks his fulfillment and happiness only in thoughtless intemperance, in toiling for and reaching the temporary gratification of his physical passions, mental urges, and intellectual hungers. Is it not a fact that in recent times, more people are killed by worry than by work? Man, in his present misconceived civilization, has learned to waste himself and his precious time in the inevitable trifles and tensions that beset his life. But to the attentive and the vigilant, life is a glorious opportunity with possibilities to reach the perfection of civilization. This is so true. Though it was written 50 years ago, but I think Gurudev already had a vision of the trend, which was like, the world is. We are all striving, isn't it, from the time we are born, some rat race, something that, some pursuit. And it's usually the external. And we get into that, we get into a kind of momentum which we build for ourselves. And today, that momentum has gained so much strength that we fail to see that there is much more to us. We are not looking at where we are going emotionally, intellectually, or even spiritually. So what happens? Within us, there is a great divide. So even after the pursuit and after successfully getting what we want, we are not happy. This is seen everywhere. That is why today, most of the diseases or whatever, you ask doctors, you ask these medical people, why is this? Even if physically there is nothing wrong, they say we are simply stressed. All kinds of uneasiness in the body and mind is seen. And when this is seen, with one individual, okay, he can be treated, we can heal. But what happens when it is collectively seen to be? Then the entire community suffers, the entire society suffers. So this is something that we need to address, and it needs to be, we need to look at it. We cannot look at ourselves as being only physical in nature. Any human being has got, when we say mind, it's typically, what we say colloquially, we say my heart, right? My feelings. In the Shastras or in Sanskrit, it's called mana. Mana is not intellectual thinking, but emotions and feelings. And what is intellectual is called buddhi, which is more, they are both thoughts only. They are thoughts. When I say I'm happy, I'm emotional, I'm feeling overwhelmed, it's about the feelings. I love this, and I hate it. It's intense emotion. But these are all thoughts. But when it is an intellectual thought, that quality of the thought is different. It is very, in description, it's more decisive, it's more well thought of, it has more rational and logic to it. That's why it is called buddhi, intellect. So we are made up of all of this. So one cannot literally hold man to be only physical. So when we say holistic growth, we must look at every aspect of it. So religion here advises us to rise above the suicidal preoccupations with the non-essential. Because if only in material is taken care of, we will all land into this trouble. We will all be stressed. We cannot live like that. When there is a divide, we are pursuing the material and have not bothered about the emotional and the intellectual growth of ourselves. We split within us. We say, very often we say, my heart wants this, my head says that. Or what am I to do? I'm forced to do this, where my heart is longing to do something else. What is actually happening to the human? He is being split, isn't it? Two ways. And this is not healthy. It's not healthy when you are split within yourself. When you are divided within yourself. Very difficult. That's because, as Gurudev says, too often we are paying attention to the non-essentials. Like he says, religion advises us to rise above these suicidal preoccupations with the non-essential. Let us learn in life to discriminate between the serious and the trifling, the permanent and the impermanent, the full and the empty occupation, and to employ our precious lifespan in seeking and striving to acquire and gain the momentous, lasting, the full. Very, very deep. And I love the how he, gathers his words. The vocabulary, of course, is very beautiful, but so direct and with such conviction. Because at the very fact, when we say we are preoccupied with something, he is even telling it is suicidal preoccupation. So this is very important here, this adjective. It is so beautiful. It speaks very well. Because when we focus too much on the non, and at a point when everything is external and more external and ambitious and competition and too much of it, even the non-essentials become important to us. It is actually what happens. It's like you are killing yourself. There is a time when you begin to break down. And that is not required. No? So this is very important. So for this, he says, let us learn to discriminate, discern what is really wanted, what is serious. The world may say this is serious. The world may come together and say this is important. But truly, what is important to you? Because your emotion, you want it to be in sync. Our body, our emotions, our intellect has to be in sync. Then there is an integrated personality. Otherwise, we are disintegrated, isn't it? We are broken within. So let us wake up and see, okay, is this essential for me? Huh? What is important, what is not, what is permanent and what is impermanent. This is important. What is long lasting? What's going to be there with you longer than these short-term things, today's happiness. At the present moment, I live this way. Very often we are looking at gratifying, I would say, ourselves in the present moment right now, not bothered about how it's going to affect us. There is an African proverb, which says, what you do today, you must know the consequences of your actions that you're performing today, and you must look at it, you must think about how it will impact 7 generations after you. That is how deep it must be, your thinking and your action. But if you are just bothered about what I quickly get today as a result of my action today, you are not even bothered about yourself, and that's dangerous. That's not. So let us stand tall and alert in the sheer supremacy and glory of our manhood and stretch our hands to reach for and seize supermanhood, our godhood is. God is within us. This is another thing we must know. Our Shastras, our scriptures, Upanishads, Gita, huh? The Hindu culture, if you see, in the religion. Here, I would like to point one thing out. We are the ones, I think, more than anybody, who go around saying also, all religions are one. Understand, all religions are not. Here, the scriptures scream and tell you, like Gurudev is, come to recognize your own self. Understand what you are made up of. Understand your potentiality, express from there, and come to see the God within you. So God realization, self-realization, you can call it moksha, you can call it nirvana. This is the goal of our life. Now you must check if other religions also speak like this. Eastern philosophies, maybe Sikhism speaks of that. Buddhism speaks of nirvana, nibbana. Jainism speaks, not the other. So we are not told there is this one God or there is this one book that you need to follow and you need to follow it to the T. No. You are supposed to discover yourself with the scriptures as your guide, your guideposts, maps, whatever you want to call. Isn't it? Use them as maps for you to recognize who you are and attain to that highest, knowing yourself and yourself, that God is within you, God is not different from Atman. Come to recognize that. This is what our religion teaches us. That's why the great Mahavakyas, there are 4 Mahavakyas. Tattvamasi, that thou art. Aham Brahmasmi, I am that. This is spoken of here. No fear of any God is given. If there is a God, why do we have so many gods? Yes, you create your own God today. You are given the liberty. You hold on to that God as an anchor. Why are so many gods? As per your liking, your inclination, your emotional setup, your intellectual build-up, whatever it is, you can follow any God. But why are you following that God? Is for you to come to recognize that God is within you. Not somewhere out. In fact, even heaven is not, we are not encouraged to follow a path that takes you to heaven after death. In fact, our books, our masters tell us, question that. Do you know of anybody who's gone to heaven and come back and told you this is what heaven looks, so I will take you there? There's nobody. But self-realized persons, Jivan Muktas, we have them. Time and again, they have come to recognize the truth. That's why this book, that's why this culture lives on. And that's why it's called Sanatana. This is important. Somewhere we stopped reading this and we were uprooted, like we got disconnected from our roots. That's why Gurudev would say, let's convert Hindus to Hinduism. That's why he started writing these. We have to look for that divinity within us. Do not keep God far away somewhere in heaven. So all the time that gap and that divide is so huge, you keep doing what you want as a human being and blame it all on God. That's not what is. So we are born as human beings. We must recognize through humanism, come to being that human. That divinity is within each one. So therefore, we must come to express that. This is exactly, now we'll start reading from here. This is exactly what the best of religions tacitly imply and implicitly indicate. Expressly, they thunder forth in their famous declarations that certainty and glory of our divine inheritance. Let us listen to their words of wisdom, follow the path shown by these eternal rishis, and reach the summit of our inner possibilities. That's why this knowledge is empowering us. It's so beautiful that the Upanishads declare you are that infinite, you are eternal. But we, in our limited thinking, we cannot believe this because my experience doesn't say so. So how am I to know? Yes, so we must read and find out exactly how is this possible and come to live. So we shall go to chapter 2 now. We will see, because in this book, Gurudev makes it very clear how to approach and reach. Chapter 2, the world and you. There was a time when some religions chose not to recognize science and refused to shake hands with her. And this almost brought those religions to their own grave. Today, we find the same mistake repeated in the opposite camp. Science has deliberately and openly disowned religion, and consequently, materialism, the height of its perfection, is groaning with the sorrows of its own creation. Neither of them can stand on its own if they want to bring happiness into society and serve man in living his daily life. In fact, the principles of science and the scientific approach vitalize religion. Similarly, the achievements in production, the efficiency in distribution, the gains of cooperation, the victory over nature, etc., cannot in themselves meet the demands of life and assure a greater share of human happiness unless they also recognize the nobler values of healthy living which religion preaches. Unless we insist that the individuals constituting the community pursue the teachings of self-integration, the community can never move into an era of joy and healthy love. In our culture, religion and science were never divorced from each other. They were never apart from each other. But the way we dealt with nature and the world was also looked upon religiously. And we knew that there is this spirit also that works. So it was very holistic, the approach. So the same guru who would speak of Atman, who would speak of deities, ways to perform the pujas, would also know geography. He would also know the planetary positions. He would know astrology. He may be a mathematician. He could be a physicist, all of that. They were not different from each other. That's how holistic. The Vedas, if you read, you will find all of it there, with specialization in each stream. But when they separate from each other, both are lost. All the wars and revolutions have not succeeded in discovering that secret prescription for joy or that system of perfect government where each citizen can bloom forth into maximum happiness he is capable of. This failure can directly be traced to the very ignorance in us of the real meaning of life and its component parts. It is forgotten or not realized at all that the external pattern of objects cannot and will not consistently remain long in any given scheme formulated through the word or carved out with the soul. The pattern changes eternally, so do the minds of the individuals. In this welter of change, to maintain an equilibrium is an utopian dream. Thus, all revolutionary changes for a congenial living pattern are necessarily efforts doomed to failure, so long as they ignore the subject in man, constituted of the mental, intellectual, and the spiritual personalities in man. Isn't it? We see that. See, which one of us doesn't want peace? And if you ask anybody, what are you doing, whatever it is that you're doing? They will say, I want peace. I'm doing it for my happiness. Huh? Every country is also striving. United Nations have come together, all the nations come together so that they want to maintain peace and order in the world. But do we really see peace anywhere? Countries are fighting each other. It cannot, true revolution can happen only when we discover the emotional, intellectual, and spiritual connection with it, not otherwise. We are all striving, isn't it? Externally, we know. We are all human beings who are looking for peaceful coexistence, yet it doesn't happen. Forget about countries and states. Let's look at our own housing societies, maybe. We cannot come together, in a consensus about everything. Isn't it? This is very, very odd, but required. What will take us there? What would we call civilized life? Big thing. It's a question we need to. He says, until we do not, if we ignore the subject in man that is constituted of the mental, the intellectual, and spiritual, we only look at the physical, then doomed for failure. Today, all around us, we find in our country that we have, through education, stepped up the general proficiency in our youth. But the capacity to apply their knowledge in the field of their activity is definitely at a low ebb. If gather up knowledge adds up to form the proficiency, the ability to translate that knowledge into action in the appropriate fields is called efficiency. So here he says about proficiency and being efficient. You gain that proficiency in any field. But he says the ability to translate that knowledge into action is another thing altogether. This needs to be done also. It is natural for the youth to have the daring to plan, the irresistible urge to act, the enthusiasm to conceive, the energy to work, along with the natural impatience at all the insufficiencies and ugly defects that they find in the world all around. To channelize these resources in the bosom of the heroic youth, they must be trained to study the problems of life and to evaluate each of them correctly. This calls for a special mental balance in each and an unerring intellectual self-application. With such a balanced mind and intellect, the youth will be able to arrive at potentially creative judgments and constructive conclusions. Here, Gurudev has spoken about the youth, but I think this just applies to all, isn't it? We must have this balance, mental balance, and also intellectual self-application. The resources that we have, whatever that we have, we must be trained to use it. There should be a direction, not simply enthusiasm and zeal for the goal. A human, be it a child or a youth, youngster, or an older person, is constituted of the body, the mind, the intellect, and the spirit. I mean, the spiritual aspect also. In many places, health, of course, physical health is required. Then we spoke of emotional quotient. Today, people talk intellectual quotient. Then they speak of the spiritual quotient. All of this should be nourished well, and should be we should be well trained, and it should be developed. But if only one thing is given emphasis about, then there is going to be haphazard development. It's not going to be complete. It's not going to lead to peace. Realizing this truth, the religious masters advised man to reform and to reconstruct his inner equipments of experience. Master the mind and you master the world, was their slogan. Nevertheless, man in his innocence still believes in the development and beautification of the external world more than the rehabilitation of his innermost personality. Master the mind and you master the world. Isn't it that we often see that it is our mind which comes in our own way? We have to achieve something, we have to get something, but we are so insecure. We are constantly doubting our capacity, and we are comparing ourselves, and we are constantly looking out, judging, and we are defeated even before we have gone to, because there is a kind of a moral defeat, or there is a psychological, war that we are. Arjuna had this struggle, whom should I identify with my physical body, or my emotional self, or my intellectual self? We are broken this way. When a situation arises, which aspect of myself should I bring forth? It's always best to be integrated and to treat also people this way. This is how one earns integrity. When what you say, what you do, what you think, all of them are aligned. Then sometimes we say something, but we do something else. Then people say, Arey, after a point, they say, this one speaks like this, but it's doing something. So I can't trust him. See what happens? You lose credibility. And sometimes some people are thinking one way, speaking something else, doing something else altogether. Then they are completely stretched. And this leads to a lot of psychological problems. For this reason alone, what do the masters tell us? The gurus tell us, master your mind, bring yourself. There should be an integrated personality. Think of yourself as a whole. And pay attention to the inner equipments of experience. Experiences of the external only. You see color, you smell fragrances, you feel to your skin the things that are external to you. You smell, you hear sounds, all that adds to your experience. But how is the inner equipment itself? It could be at fault. We may all be attending class, but for a split second, our mind goes off somewhere. You hear a word and something connects, and you have gone to your cousin who is in the States. You are sitting in Navi Mumbai, but now you have just reached, and you are having a conversation with her, and suddenly you realize, I'm physically here, but I missed something here. So what has happened is, an experience was there, but you missed it. So the inner equipment was not available at that time. It is this inner thing that makes the experience complete. We must understand, isn't it? We are sitting here, so I'm seeing everybody, but if my mind is not there, I wouldn't. This is very important. Science has not yet taught us to turn our discriminative intellect onto ourselves for a critical study and analysis of ourselves. We have our body, mind, and intellect as our three equipments of experience through which life constantly pulses. When life is working through the physical body, I perceive the world of objects. When life functions through the mind, I experience the world of feelings. And when life expresses through my intellect, I comprehend my world of ideas. I am the same, but this is how my experiences enhance my life. Through the physical, with my sense organs, isn't it? I feel the physical experience of the world outside. I come to know that. Then there is the feelings within me. When I see a sunset, okay? Now the sunset is very beautiful, but for some people, the sunset can bring about certain memories. It is not very good. It could happen. Sun is setting. That is the physical thing that is happening. But for one person, the experience is so beautiful. Wow. It's glorious. And for the other person who's standing very close by, the person will be, I want to move away from here because this kind of a sunset depresses. What has happened? The sun is setting. That is the external thing. That is a fact. But what has happened within? See, in the same family, mother, father, and two children, they live under the same roof. So the conditions under which they live is the same. Huh? There is a certain social standards, economic status, whatever it is. The children have got a similar educational background. So there are very many common factors. They go together. They say, let's go for this movie. So they've all gone for the movie. The movie is the same. They are watching the same thing. But each one comes out and their experience has been very different. How the father has seen the movie is quite different from how the mother has perceived. Huh? So each one looks for something there. And so their experience of that, they have gone to the same theater and the same movie they are watching, but they come out feeling very different. Because the inner equipment is very different. This is something we cannot ignore, isn't it? So this we must understand. And each of it poses a challenge. Sometimes it's comfort. And if I'm made up that way, I should also understand everybody is made up that way. If somebody has a physical ailment, is not at ease, so we say it is disease, right? It could be feelings are a problem with somebody. They are not at ease with their feelings. And to some other people, they are ways of thinking, how they have come to certain conclusions, how they have come to certain decisions about their lives could be skewed. Everything requires to be just, these are mistakes that happen to be redirected. And each one has to find that. But that is required to be done. Because that's what makes your experience complete and fulfilling and satisfying. And your happiness comes from there. It's not only the external. Because if it was in the external object, anyone and everyone who's got that, if I say that it is in the mango, because I love mango, I say, oh, mango can give me so much happiness. But obviously, it's not in the mango, because I know of people who say, it's okay, I'm not too fond of the mangoes. That means that has not got that happiness in it, because everyone should have been happy. Forget that. People eat a couple of mangoes and then they're saying, enough for today. I can't have any. So obviously it means, why I'm saying, when you are happy, does it ever come to you that I have had enough of happiness today? Do we ever say that? Is it a burden on us? फिर से भगवान बहुत ही मतलब आज तो you have kept me very happy. What is wrong? I'm happy today, I'm happy tomorrow. How much happiness do we want every day, 24/7? Isn't it? It's never a burden to us. Has anybody gone to the temple praying, Bhagwan, why am I so happy when my neighbors are all unhappy? Is there something wrong? Have I done anything wrong? Do we go to the astrologer? भाई पता नहीं क्या हो रहा है, एक साल से I'm very happy. People, at the moment you're unhappy, it's not your nature, isn't it? What does it tell you? Inner में कुछ तो गड़बड़ है, and I want an immediate solution, isn't it? So is it that there is a problem outside at any given point of time? It is never in the outside. This is what our religion teaches. We just require to that equipment ko theek karna. Like I give the example of the telescope all the time, isn't it? Now you want to use the telescope to see far off planets and stars, or you want to see the surface of the moon. So what do? You say, okay, you have to go to a place where it's all clear. You find that, okay, this is good. Now evening time, this time I want to. So you calibrate your telescope, you carry your telescope, you start, putting it, giving it the right direction, put the right lens. Calibrate, keep on watching until you get that perfect vision. Can you tell the moon, just go a little this side? Moon, I'm not able to catch you there. You have to follow the planet, wherever the planet. But what do? You keep on adjusting the telescope so that your vision becomes clear. So this is always adjusting your inner equipment. It has nothing to do with the outside. The outside, of course, will add. Okay. But if the inner is already in its fullest potential, working to the best, you can make the outside very good. It's under your control now. So that's why these three instruments, the body, the mind, and the intellect, have their own distinct characteristics in each person, and the personality expressed when life throbs through them is therefore distinct. Hence, each man is a unique personality. My total world of experience is made up of world of objects, the world of feelings, and the world of ideas. All these put together constitute my total field of experience in the world outside. By the way, the very definition of loka, we say world. According to the scriptures, loka means field of experience. They are not talking of countries or planets or oceans or mountains. Like I said, we also use these phrases, right? We were all in class, but I think she was in her own world. We say, what does this mean? She was in her own world. What is being in your own world? Your field of experience is different from the others. Then I've gone to another loka. That's all. So it's a field of experience. And this field of experience, what really makes it happen is, as Gurudev says here, the body, the mind, and the intellect. So that's what adds and makes the total field of experience. So how we experience the world actually speaks of how we are within us. That is why we are often told, master your mind, master yourself, then you master the world. This is how you are the master of your own destiny. So we shall read. So this is so empowering. See, first of all, we understand this basic about ourselves. Now, yes, I mean, all this literature is available. We are making progress because now more and more the need to find this peace. People are studying, and we must also really think on these lines and equip ourselves. So this knowledge is very empowering. It's also releasing. You realize that you can do something about it. Because see, one thing, you can only do something about yourself. You can't control the outside. You can't control the factors that create this experience. But how you feel within and what kind of thinking, what kind of feelings you must inculcate, what can you change within yourself is very much under. And that's your scope. So we must focus on that. So a lot more Gurudev has told us how we can go about it. If this is applied, I'm sure each one of us will truly find we will be equipped. There is a lot of discipline, there is a lot of inner strength, when we apply this to us. For today, we will stop here. Shall conclude the session here. I hope you all are enjoying, and we'll meet again next Saturday. Continue. पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति 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 Sham